Well, in light of Etsy's new shipping policies, a lot of viewers are taking a second look at eBay, and they are wondering if eBay can better meet their selling needs. I have a list. It's just my top 10 list of things I believe eBay does well, better than Etsy, in fact. So I'm going to put this out to you, and you can make the choice. And we'll talk about this when we get back in a minute. Okay, a little bit of business first. We have pen giveaways to announce. The winners this week are Stephanie Bargileski, Elizabeth Lisa. Elizabeth wants a pen for her son. Kimberly Porcelli. She is a breast cancer survivor, and she would like a pen. She's going to get one. And Jean's Junk. Now, Jean would like a pen for her best friend, and her best friend gave Jean's spouse a kidney. Seriously, how do you say thank you for something like that? I don't know, but I'm definitely going to pick out a special pen for Jean's friend. And meantime, Jocelyn, I love you to death, hon, but Andrew is not getting anywhere near my kidneys. I just thought we'd clear that up right now. All right, so let's talk about eBay versus Etsy. I did a video, it was our very first Etsy video, and I did some comparisons at that time between Etsy and eBay, what they each had going for them. And Etsy's primary advantage was lower fees and, secondarily, a much more seller-friendly platform. Well, lower fees are fine, but if you're going to go broke on shipping, it's just not enough to make up for it. And a seller-friendly platform is usually not a platform that is attempting to coerce you to giving free shipping at a great cost. So I'm thinking we may need to revise our opinion of Etsy. Nevertheless, eBay fees are higher. Etsy had an 8% plus fee. That was 5% for your sale, 3% for Etsy payments on your sale, a 20-cent listing fee, and a 25-cent transaction fee. So it's 8% plus 45 cents. And I'm just going to say that that's approximately 9%. eBay has a flat 10% fee, and there's a 3% fee going to PayPal. And usually you don't have to use PayPal. It's not like Etsy where you must use one system, Etsy payments. eBay will allow you to do anything as long as you accept electronic transactions. You can take credit cards directly. You can use any other electronic friendly payment system. And virtually everyone uses PayPal, but that's not necessary. It's not a requirement. So you've got 10% to eBay, you've got 3% to PayPal, and listing fees on eBay. I can't remember the last time I paid a listing fee. It's been many years. Listing fees are almost a joke, really. It's like, well, we're going to charge you to list, but we're going to give you 100 free listings. And I get them even on my buying account, and I have never sold an item from my buying account. But every month or so, I get an email from eBay saying, here's your 100 free listings. So they're just giving them away like candy. Some categories carry no listing fees at all. Some might, but again, 100 free listings, it's just, it's hard for me to take the whole concept of eBay listing fees seriously under those conditions. I think it's more of a relic of the way eBay did business many years ago. So, still, if we are looking at 13% on eBay as opposed to 9% on Etsy, that's an extra 4% of your sale. So, what's eBay doing to justify that? I got 10 things that I believe they are doing to more than justify that. Let's start with the fact that Etsy is much, much smaller than eBay. In the video that went out on June 1st, and I did all the numbers, so feel free to cast back to that video and take a look at it. Just very quickly, the revenue for eBay in 2018 was, let's see, what is it? $10 billion. It'd be nice if it were 10 billion marbles, but it's not. $10 billion as opposed to 600 million on Etsy. Now, that relationship is 16 to 1. eBay had 16 times the revenue of Etsy. Interestingly enough, Etsy is claiming to have approximately 25%, a quarter of the registered buyers, actually, Etsy describes them as active buyers against eBay's registered users. Etsy is claiming 40 million active buyers, whereas eBay is claiming 180 million registered users. And some of those registered users are dedicated sellers. There are plenty of companies, especially those located in Asia, that do nothing on eBay except selling. So I figure if you just deduct 10% for dedicated sellers, the relationship is about 4 to 1. A very different picture than what you get from a financial relationship of 16 to 1. So you got to figure something's off here. There's just a disconnect. Those numbers are not matching up. My suspicion is that people do hit and run buying on Etsy. They'll go because maybe they want a handmade item, maybe something caught their fancy, and they just don't go back. Or if they do go back, they don't go back with any regularity. They may have been a buyer at one time, but the difference is probably the volume of purchasing. The Etsy buyers are probably, hit and run buyers. I'll buy something, maybe I'll check back with them in 6 to 8 months. eBay buyers are probably more consistent. At least that's what makes sense to me. But there's no way to investigate this further. I'm giving you the numbers they're putting out. That's all I have available. Nevertheless, it's still a huge market. You are going to be seen by at least 4 times as many prospective buyers on eBay as you are on Etsy. And in fact, it could probably be more than that. And I suspect it is. I suspect that 4 to 1 is somehow an inflated number. I'm just not sure how they've done it. Is that market worth an extra 4%? Well, even if it's only 4 times as great, and that's the lowest figure I could get, even if it's only 4 times as great, that's still a huge difference in prospective buyers. That's an enormous market boost, 4 times your market. Yeah, that alone would be worth it. Listings. The first listing you put up on eBay is going to be your most difficult. That's where you're going to have to put up your sort of house rules, things like I need international buyers to contact me before bidding. I don't take bids from people with less than 10 feedback, or I don't take bids from people with private feedback. Um, Everything that's shipped out at the buyer's cost, I charge actual shipping only. All those are the kinds of things you would put in. I take returns for 12 and a half days. Um, Everything's going to be mailed out within 24 hours. That's where you list your sort of your rules of business. Now, there are other places you are going to list these rules too, and that will be in your listing, the little boxes that you will check. But in your listing body is where your buyers are going to look for this information. So your first listing, in addition to the photographs and the brief description of your item, you're going to need your shop rules. And I strongly suggest you give that some thought. Look at other successful sellers, see what they have in their rules, and learn from their mistakes. Because if you see a whole lot of people saying, I will not take bids from eBayers with fewer than 10 feedback, put that in, because they have a reason for it, and you don't want to fall into a trap they fell into. Learn from what went wrong for them. Shop around. Once you create that first listing, you can template it. Now, all of your house rules are sort of carved in stone because you can continue to sell off that template over and over again. You'll be changing your categories, you'll be changing your photos, you'll be changing your description, but that template will give everything you need. It'll be the countries you ship to, the countries you don't ship to, your handling time, your return policy. It will all be right there. In fact, there's only one thing that you will consistently need to change, and that's if you opt out of the global shipping program. That's one thing you'll need to do every time, but we'll talk about shipping in a minute. Once that template is done, there are two ways you can use it. You can go into selling and grab your template, take it out again, or you can pick any one of your listings, click a button, and say, I want to sell a similar item. So you have 4 Hummel figurines, and you have a template that you made when you were selling depression glass pitchers. So the first time out, you grab the template, you alter as needed from depression glass pitchers over to Hummel figurines, and then the next time out, you're like, I want to sell something similar. Grab another Hummel figurine listing, and this time out, all you need to do is change the pictures and the description. Bang, bang, you are done. After your first listing, everything else runs so quickly and so smoothly, it will be surprising because the templates work. More control. On eBay, you have absolute control over your site. If there are people you don't want to do business with, bang, they go into your block buyer list. If there are countries you don't want to sell to, take them right out. Now, you can do that with Etsy too. So it's not as if Etsy doesn't have that, but they don't have the block buyer feature. And they don't give you the level of control that eBay does, because in fact, eBay allows you to list your items in multiple categories. Now, there will be fees associated with this, but if you have an item, let's say, for example, Asian porcelain, that's something I deal with a lot. You might want to list that as Asian fine arts. You might want to list that somewhere else as antiques / Asian. Double listing, you can do that, and you'll come up in both search listings. Ultimately, that is a great deal of control. Search engines, that's what I was just talking about. The search engines on eBay are really good. When you make your listing, you choose from their existing categories By the way you do this, let's go back to our Hummel figurines. You throw Hummel figurines into a search, you go to sold listings. Remember, we always use sold listings, not active listings. You take a look at the Hummel figurines that have sold for the best prices, and then you take a look at what categories they have been placed in. And then you copy out those categories, and those are the ones you're going to use, because you can learn from other people's successes as well as learning from their failures. On Etsy, you have to choose your own categories. It's not even like you can scroll through them. You just start typing something in until you get lucky. And then you have to create your own list of 13 descriptors, which is what pulls you up when people are searching. And usually after about 5 or 6 descriptions, you're really starting to grasp at straws. That is why whenever I go on Etsy looking for celluloid fans, I find skeins of yarn and odd little buttons for, Twilight. Yes, I find Twilight buttons. It's because there's no structured search. The search is the search is dictated by how a seller is choosing to list their items. And the seller is encouraged by Etsy to use 13 specific terms, many of which have nothing whatsoever to do with their product. I would think if I were to use all 13 terms every time out, I'd be showing up on every search in town. I mean, they would be searching for boxes of dead fireflies, and they'd be turning up my Asian porcelain, because you just run out of things to say. And then you start grasping at straws, and that throws you into the wrong search group. And that doesn't do anybody any good. The buyer doesn't need to see your stuff. It's not what they're looking for. And you don't need to have your stuff turning up on every possible search. So eBay's is much, much better. And let me give you a concrete example. Because if you are selling vintage Barbies, which I do from time to time, you go into Dolls and Bears. From that, you go into Barbie. From Barbie, you go into Vintage Barbie. From Vintage Barbie, you go into pre-1967 Barbie. And that is exactly where your doll belongs. Your doll does not belong anywhere else. There is no doubt about where this doll goes. That's the category for it. And eBay has so many categories that virtually anything you are selling is going to have its own particular category, so that when people are browsing categories, that's where they're going. That's where you want to be seen. And putting your item in the wrong category can cost you sales. So, better search engines is better visibility, more satisfied buyers, because they're not scrambling to find your things. They're finding them quickly and easily, and less work for you because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. eBay is handing you these categories saying, take your pick, choose what you want, instead of forcing you to sit down and type out 13 separate descriptions of what your item might be and having to guess at what your buyers might want to call your item. So I think search engines is really good. Instant customer support. If you need eBay, they are a phone call away. There's a contact us link. You go in, contact, and you'll have to scroll through and fill out, information about what you want to contact them about, but you will get them. You will get them on the phone. You will get them within 2 minutes of your first efforts to get them. They will be there. They don't have hold times. I don't think I've ever been on hold for more than maybe 3 or 4 minutes with eBay, and you'll get a human being who is there to help you. That's really good. With Etsy, you have to send them an email. They have to get back to you. If they didn't understand your question, you have to send them another email, and so on and so forth. It's not like talking to a person on the phone, because if they don't understand you can just explain yourself to them. They say, I don't understand. You say, wait, let me restate. When that's being done by email, it's 24 hours before you get the responding email. Then you have to email back if they didn't understand. They email you back. It can be an incredibly long process, especially if you have a difficult situation that might be open to misinterpretation. Yes, instant customer support is very good. Also, speaking of instant payment. When you buy an item on eBay, you make your payment either through your credit card, through your PayPal account, whatever, you're paying instantly. That payment is immediately turned over to the seller's account. As the seller, it's almost always going to be your PayPal account. The minute that money is there, it's yours. Now, I understand that with new sellers, eBay will hold payments for a while, but it's not a long while, just a short while, until they can make sure the seller is doing what they're supposed to do. They get a few bits of feedback saying, yes, we will ship it out. Now, I'm not even sure if this is the case. I've been told this, but since my eBay accounts are very old and long standing, I don't know how they're doing that, but this is certainly possible. However, as I heard it, they're only being held for a few days. Etsy Etsy pays out once a month, and you may have all kinds of money in your Etsy account, but you see it when they let you see it, which is in their best interest because they have your money and they can draw interest on that money before they have to give it to you. With PayPal, you get paid the minute that money's in your account, it's yours. You can literally pay your postage for the item that was just purchased out of the purchase price. If you have items that really weigh a lot and the postage is very high and you need that $35 or $40, or let's say it's an international purchase and it's very expensive, you need that money. That's with Etsy, that comes out of your pocket. You have to pay that up front. Etsy will give you that money back a month later after they've drawn the interest, but your upfront costs are much higher. Instant payment through PayPal is a very different story. They pay the money, you get the money, bang, bang, just that fast. That is a major benefit. Shipping, as we were just talking about paying for your shipping. eBay has the best shipping rates. I have said right along that you go to PayPal if you want the best rates. eBay's rates are the same as PayPal, and it's a lot easier to get them because when I ship on Etsy and I take my shipping through to PayPal, I have to do a cut and paste. I've got one window open with my buyer's information on Etsy, another window open with my PayPal account, and I'm doing cut and paste, cut and paste. Now, it's not that big a deal, and it's worth it for the money I save by using PayPal shipping. But still, with Etsy, it's one click and it's done. And it's those same rates. Plus, they do international shipping, which PayPal will not do. So if I have to do international shipping, I have to use Etsy's system. Or I could use the USPS, but Etsy's system is in fact cheaper than the USPS. With eBay, you're getting the best rates right across the board, and you do it with the click of a button. Also, you have access to ship cover insurance, which is far better than the USPS insurance. USPS, if you make an insurance claim, first of all, the postage is not covered. So if you have an item that's gone out for free shipping, 100% of the cost is covered. But if you charged the shipping separately, they don't pay that. And they pretty much pay you, assuming they pay you, and I've had claims denied by the post office, and frankly, there's nothing you can do about it. They are judge, jury, and executioner on this one. If they do not want to process a claim, they just won't do it, and you can't make them. If they do process your claim, it could be months before you get your money. Meanwhile, you've got a buyer. You have to reimburse now. So ship cover, much better. The minute your buyer says, I've got damage, you contact ship cover, you send them the buyer information, and I'm trying to think. I think the fastest claim I ever had resolved by ship cover was probably about 10 minutes, and the longest was about 40 minutes. So it's virtually instantaneous. Um, your your money to reimburse your buyer is in your account before you've had a chance to reimburse your buyer. That's how quick it is. So that is better shipping. Also, global shipping program, and this is, what is this? This is number 8. Global shipping provides much easier international shipping. Now, it's much more expensive for your buyer, which is why I don't use it, but it's much easier for you as the seller. You ship your item off to a central clearinghouse, and I believe it's in Lexington, Kentucky. And they take it from there. It just couldn't be easier. So, global shipping from the seller's point of view is virtually identical to domestic shipping. Somebody else is going to take care of it all. I'm not saying it's bad, I just don't use it because I would prefer to save my buyers the money because international shipping has just gotten insanely expensive these days. But I do consider global shipping to be a benefit. It's something I use if I am shipping to countries that have unreliable postal services, um, or if I feel, for whatever reason, the risk of damage or missing packages is high. Um, Obviously, if I were shipping a package to Afghanistan, global shipping, because, the war zones, they're just, well, what can you say? On top of everything else, bombs, shells, murder, blah, 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 the mail just tends not to go through all that reliably. So, global shipping can be a great benefit. 9 options. eBay gives you all kinds of options that Etsy does not give you. You can sell straight out of your buying account. And that's the account you've been using all these years, and you've been building up your nice little 100% feedback. And that's the account you can sell out of. Or you can open a shop. Or you can contact a listing agent and have them sell for you. Or you can do your own listings and use a service like Optiva or InkFrog to handle your pictures. Or, and the list goes on and on and on. All of these resources that are available to you, it's one option after the next. Many of those options, and there are options I've never used on eBay. There are just so many of them. You can really tailor your business to work exactly the way you want it to. Number 10, because I just mentioned your buyer history. Your buyer history is your opening seller history. So if you're a buyer, you will have 100% feedback because um, no one can leave negative feedback. It has to be 100% positive. That transfers over if you sell out of your buying account. Now, you won't have the stars, those little DSR ratings, detailed seller ratings, but you'll still have 100% feedback. And as a new seller, that can help inspire confidence in buyers because a lot of times people will just look at the name and see 100% positive and not check on it, because that's what will come up when your information comes up as a seller. It'll be your name, your seller name, your buyer name, same thing, and then 100% positive feedback. If they check, they will see this is buyer feedback. If they don't, well, 100% feedback, you are looking mighty good to a prospective buyer. And it's simply based on your buying history, not your selling history. One more thing I want to mention, and that's when you go to eBay, scroll down to the bottom of the page, any page, it's on all of their pages, and you'll find a few links down at the very, very bottom. The most useful link you are going to find is called Sitemap, SITEMAP. click on Sitemap and become familiar with what is listed there. That will quickly get you to all of your buying tools, all of your selling tools, contacts, community, finding other members, all right there in that Sitemap button. I've been using that for years, ever since that was, no, it was back when that was the only way to get at some of this information. But you go in, and as a seller, you hit Sitemap, you go into selling. You can quickly and easily add a buyer to your blocked buyer list, remove a buyer from your blocked buyer list so they can buy from you again. You can end a listing, you can cancel a bid, all of this from in there, and you find that with that Sitemap button. Bang, bang, so easy. So that is my quick and dirty eBay list. I've been selling on eBay for about 20 years. So this is a system I know and know well. I am going to maintain my Etsy shop in spite of the difficulties with this $30 shipping. I don't know if I'm going to opt into that system yet. I haven't decided. What I have decided is I'm not closing my Etsy shop. I made a commitment, and it was only like 6 or 8 weeks ago when we started opening our Etsy shop. I made that commitment that we were going to work this through. I would be doing it with you. Let me make the mistakes so you don't have to. Little did I know what sort of just whopper they had to drop on us just a few weeks later. But I am in this for the long haul with you, and I am going to stick it out. We will navigate this as best we can. So I'm maintaining a presence on Etsy. But I totally understand that a lot of you are going to want to move over to eBay. I can't say I blame you. It's probably a very good choice for some of you. And staying with Etsy is probably a very good choice for others. These are your businesses. These are your decisions. And my job is just to help you make the best decision and then follow through on that decision in the best possible ways. So I'm going to continue to do that. But in the meantime, if you're interested in switching over to eBay, now you have the information. You have a lot of reasons, a lot of services to justify that extra fee. And obviously, I'm still here, still got the comments. You like something, you don't like something, let me know. Because 20 years on eBay, I can probably help you sort it out. And if I can't, I can find someone who can. So that is it for today. I will see you tomorrow. You guys have a great rest of your day. See you later.